Thank you so much for joining Sharebird's The Essential Go-to-Market Show, tips and strategies where we offer short video content and interview-style conversations with global product marketing leaders. I'm your host, Yasmeen Turayhi. Whether you're an early-stage startup or a public company, almost everyone struggles with the same question. What does it take to have a successful product launch? Today, I'll be talking to Priyanka Srinivasan, Head of Marketing at Qualia, and she's going to tell us a little bit about what Qualia does before we dive into the questions.
Yasmeen, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be part of the podcast or the video today. So thanks so much for that. And yeah, I'll just jump in. So Qualia is a company that builds products to make home closings more transparent, efficient, and affordable. So that's kind of the high level of this. And we do that by bringing all the parties in the real estate transaction. So title companies, insurers, lenders, real estate agents, buyers, sellers, together on one single platform with products and services that are built for their individual needs. And so, as you mentioned, I lead all of our product marketing and go-to-market efforts here at Qualia, which includes managing a team that is growing quickly.
So, Priyanka, can you tell us about some of the top learnings and takeaways that you've experienced when it comes to launching a product in market at Qualia? As I think many folks are aware, go-to-market is very different depending on which growth stage you're in, which vertical you're in, which industry you're in. So I'm really interested in learning about some of your best tips and strategies.
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say the first one is definitely getting your ducks in a row internally. So when we think about go-to-market, and particularly at Qualia, go-to-market is not just the product marketing team, right? There's a lot of teams that make up go-to-market. There's the customer success team, the onboarding team, support, all the other teams that exist in marketing, and obviously sales as well, right? So everyone sort of has to come together to make this thing really successful. And I always think about it as like an iceberg, right? That you see the tip of the iceberg is all the marketing efforts that you see at the end of the day, but there's all this stuff that has to happen kind of below the surface. And product marketing takes a really significant role in making that happen and coordinating with different teams. And so having a really strong, kind of highly coordinated plan put together is really important, in building really strong cross-functional relationships with different leaders to make sure everyone is on the same page, I think, is kind of the first thing. The second thing I'd say for any sort of successful launch or go-to-market is talking to your customers. We spend a lot of time talking to our customers. We actually have a customer advisory board. We do that once a quarter. So we bring together a number of our customers together, and we talk about kind of what's coming out on the roadmap, getting their feedback. I think this is really important, particularly, and I'll talk about this a little bit more, but Qualia is a company that's releasing a ton of product. I mean, we're really prolific. We're very product and engineering driven as a company. And so when you think about it, every quarter, you see this long list of stuff that's coming out. It's hard to know, like, should I prioritize A or B or C? And so oftentimes our customers are the ones that can really help us prioritize, and also to help us kind of test messaging to see what could potentially resonate. So I think that's really key as well. And I'd say the third thing is really on measurement. So a lot of people don't realize a launch doesn't end when you get the message out there, right? You have to see how something is performing and iterate over time. And so having good measurement set up in place within the product as well as within your campaigns to see how they're performing is really important.
Awesome. And can you give us some examples of measurement? What have you done?
Yeah, totally. So I think there's two key areas that we want to focus on. So one of them is kind of in-app engagement. So actually utilizing a tool like Amplitude or Gainsight PX. I used to be at Gainsight, so I'll do a plug for them, or Pendo, really, to look at how your customers are interacting with a new feature that you released in the product, right? And making sure that there's adoption there, I think, is really critical. And then obviously from a marketing perspective, we look at when we launch something and we send out emails and we have webinars and things like that, how much engagement is there on those types of things? And then does it lead to opportunity creation? Can we attribute it to anything over time, right? So that's really important as well. And I think those are the two areas that we're particularly interested in.
Awesome. And can you talk to me a little bit about team structure? Why is that so important to the go-to-market process?
Yeah, totally. So I often think of, in product marketing, I think there's kind of two sort of high level ways that you can structure your team, right? So there are companies that are very product driven. And then on the other hand, there are companies that are very sales and marketing driven. And so I used to work at Gainsight. I think of Gainsight as a very sales and marketing driven company. Qualia is a very product driven company. I think we'd all say that here. We have amazing products. We're building a ton of products. We have quite a prolific product and engineering team. And so one of the first things that I decided when I came in was that we were going to align the product marketing team to product. And so each of the PMMs that sit on the product marketing team are aligned to a product and therefore have a PM counterpart that they work with. And I think that's been really important for us from a go-to-market perspective, because it ensures that all this crazy amount of product that we're building, we're not missing anything, right? We're making sure we're launching everything, and we're making sure we're prioritizing the stuff that needs to get launched in a really big way versus stuff that maybe could show up more in customer emails or maybe even just in release notes, right? So we have a really good sense of that. And I think that's important. And then I think on the flip side, we definitely make sure that we have coverage on the sales side. So we also have a sense for what kinds of messaging would resonate for more SMBs versus enterprise, right? But we are very aligned to product to make sure that we're getting everything out there and we're not missing anything. And I think that makes sense for us because we're very product driven.
And Priyanka, can you talk to me a little bit about how certain teams could be really helpful for the go-to-market process, what that collaboration looks like, and also how sometimes there are certain teams that could create bottlenecks for the go-to-market process?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that one of the most, again, kind of going back to this idea that we're a very product driven company, I think one of the most important teams, obviously, for us is product, right? We work really closely with product. Our product marketers meet with them at least bi-weekly to really sit down and look at everything that's coming out and making sure we're not missing anything, making sure we fully understand what's coming out, making sure that we understand any changes in terms of timing that could impact launches, right? So we're very collaborative in that way. We also bring in customer success into those meetings as well, right? Because customer success has a lot of stuff that they need to prepare for with a launch, particularly a major launch, right? They need to make sure that the onboarding team is ready if there's any changes to onboarding. They need to make sure that their support team is ready to handle any tickets that could come through. And they need to enable their customer success team, right? So making sure that CSMs need to be able to talk about features, not just in terms of what they are, but strategically, like how they can impact the customer and how they can really help individual customers that they work with. And so that's quite a significant level of enablement. And those teams need to make sure that they're enabled. So we work really closely with not only product, but also customer success to make sure that they have everything they need to be successful. And also we work really closely with demand gen, right? Because that's ultimately at the end of the day, a major conduit for us to obviously get the product out there and generate leads for the business. And so we work very closely with that team as well. And I think your question around bottlenecks, I like to stay positive and say that we try to avoid bottlenecks by getting folks involved in the process really early. And so recently we made some changes to make sure that our post-sales team is involved really, really early. So they're seeing everything that's being built, even if it's super, super early stage, right? That they have that sense of what's coming down the pike, and we can all kind of sit together and determine kind of the level of effort that we'll need for things. Customer success is also very helpful in terms of helping to prioritize what we might want to reserve for a larger launch versus stuff that could just be a customer communication. So I think that's really critical as well.
Awesome. And Priyanka, what's your main takeaway? What do you want to tell folks as kind of like what makes you a good product marketer for folks who are maybe interested in learning about product marketing or who want to become product marketers or climb the ladder?
Yeah. I'm an ex-consultant, so I started my career at Bain, and I think of consulting in a lot of ways as a very strong research job in the sense that you learn a lot about an industry that your client is in. You become an expert in that, right? And I think that a lot of that is transferable to product marketing. And I think probably one of the most key ways in which it's transferable is talking to your customers, right? So making sure that you're always in touch. Like you can have hypotheses about what might resonate, but I think they're always going to remain hypotheses until you go out and talk to people. And so whether you're doing that through your customer advisory board or through one-on-one relationships that you're building with customers or through events that you're holding where you're getting to talk to customers in like a roundtable type of format, I think that's probably one of the most critical things. And then I think coupling with customers and prospects all the time to get a sense for what's working and what's not, I think is incredibly important. I think PMM is one of these functions that can't live in a silo, right? You have to be constantly kind of getting feedback and testing hypotheses. So that's probably my biggest takeaway to be successful.
Super helpful. Thank you so much, Priyanka. And where can people find you?
Well, people can find me on LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn. At times I post about things on LinkedIn and write about things. And yeah, if anyone is interested in learning more about Qualia, we're growing really, really fast. We're hiring across not only product marketing, but all of our go-to-market and product and engineering teams. So definitely feel free to DM me on LinkedIn if you're interested in learning more.
Wonderful. And we'll add all those notes into the bio. So Stay tuned for upcoming shows with product marketing leaders from startups to public companies as they share some of their best tips and strategies on go-to-market. And send us a note. Tell us what you learned. Tag us, tag Priyanka, and tag Sharebird. And for those of you who are looking for more material on go-to-market, you can check out my book, Product Marketing Debunked, on Amazon, or one of my many articles on Medium. And if you're serious about go-to-market, I also offer a go-to-market workshop, both online as well as recorded. Thanks again.